I would start first and foremost with the offense being worse than the Panthers' offense, which was a horrible offense yesterday. Until I'll do credit to the Panthers. That last drive, they did exactly what they needed to do. They drove down the field. They soaked up 6 minutes of clock time. The Texans' defense, which had been just fine and good enough all day, just completely lapsed there at the end. So, but mostly, if you hold a team to 15 points in the NFL, you should be able to beat them. The offense was about as disappointing as they could be coming off of a bye week, in which the great, big, huge innovation with a capital I seemed to be more Beck. We need more Andrew Beck. This is going to be the full Beck offense. We're gonna ply these bastards with so much Andrew Beck that they're not going to know what happened to them. But beyond that, not a whole lot new or exciting. And I think, honestly, my one big takeaway really is that this team probably misses Robert Woods more than you would have thought, and more than they should. That's a problem. Is okay. How good of a offense is it really if Robert Woods not being there as the first down generator and security blanket is gone?
Yeah, I agree. The offense is the place to start. I feel like, okay, yesterday's game, like if Bobby Slowick really is hell-bent on running Dameon Pierce and Devin Singletary into a brick wall as many times as he chooses to, and yesterday, even the run, Seth, that on paper looked good, like Dameon Pierce, he had a 16-yard run. That was his long run. Yeah, he got blistered in the backfield, spun off of it, and then got upfield for 16 yards.
Yeah.
Devin Singletary's long run was 9 yards on the day. Their cornerback, Dante Jackson, just came in completely unblocked, hit him in the backfield, but then Devin was able to get upfield and get 9 yards. Like, even the plays that on paper looked like, okay, well, they got a few plays that, not even explosive play. For this offense, that's explosive at this point, 16 yards and 9 yards. You had 2 weeks to prepare for one of the worst rushing defenses in football, and you look the same as you did these previous 6 games. If you are trying to win games this year, and they they absolutely are, then enough with the balance of the play. And I know the passing offense is not perfect either, but if you're asking me what to lean on to try to win games, that you have a game yesterday and CJ's throwing the ball 24 times and you're running the ball with this offense 30 times. Whatever Bobby Slowick is seeing in this rushing offense that seems to make him hell-bent on using it the way he does, they got to take a look in the mirror, man, and figure out what the identity of this offense is. They are not a running offense at all.
They've got to get guys blocked at least when they do run.
Yeah.
And, I've seen a lot of people, I think it's very common when things aren't going well for people to blame blame it on a lack of creativity by the offensive coordinator. I think it's exactly the opposite. They're doing some things in the offense, in the running game, that are just, they scream, trying way too hard to be too clever. The one play, the 2 things I would point to. The one play where Tank Dell was tackled in the backfield, where the design seemed to be, hey, these guys are totally going to bite on CJ as a runner.
Yeah.
And, we're going to leave guys unblocked. Either that or the running back didn't block the defensive end the way he was supposed to. So you get a guy unblocked in the backfield on Tank Dell, on little diminutive coming off of a concussion Tank Dell. Awful, pathetic, way too clever for their own good. The other thing is this. I get so tired of watching good teams say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take whatever the biggest threat is on the other side of the ball, and we're going to do everything we can to minimize that threat. We're going to do everything we can to be sure that guy doesn't beat it. We saw it every time the Patriots play the Texans. We saw J.J. Watt would have 6 hands on him at any given time. He'd get hit by 2 offensive linemen and then a fullback for good measure. And then we would watch horrible teams, like at the time the Jaguars would try to single block J.J. Watt. So I'm watching yesterday, and on at least 2 plays, Brian Burns, the defensive end, one of the biggest threats on their defense, goes completely and totally unblocked on plays where it wasn't, by design, he was not supposed to be unblocked. What the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing that Brian Burns is unblocked deep in the backfield multiple times on that play? Lack of creativity, my God. We're 7 steps away from talking about creativity. That was an abdication of any kind of football sense that anybody's ever had since they play in 4th grade. Brian Burns unblocked multiple times. Other edge defenders unblocked. You got your fullback trying to do Jim Cotta moves to keep from hitting the quarterback as he's handing the ball off, and then he has to bend around like he's in the Matrix or something to block a 6'6" defensive end. It's stupid stuff. You got to can it with the cute stuff and just learn how to block guys in front of you and run the football for 3 yards at a time. Sean, I went and I looked at the various drives. It was a very low possession game yesterday. Mm-hmm. There were 9 offensive drives in that game.
Yep.
Average is 12 or 13.
Yep.
So that's one of the reasons it was so boring despite multiple goal line stands. It was such a boring game. They had 7 drives that did not result in touchdowns. I would say 4, or did not result in a score.
Yeah.
I would say 4 of those 7 were because of horrendous either run plays or bad blocking by the offensive line. And it's those negative run plays, including, like you just pointed out, a couple of the good runs actually could have very easily been tackles for a loss.
Yeah.
It's these negative plays that you get 3.7 yards per carry, which, by the way, is bad. I saw people pointing to that as an improvement. No, that's bad. That's bottom third of the league.
Yes.
If you average 3.7 yards per carry, but you're doing it against the 29th worst rushing defense in the league. So that was bad. That was really, really bad. And when you take these negative plays, these tackles for a loss, those are drive killers. It's not that hard. It's not that hard, no matter what your talent is, to not be the worst in the league, but the Texans are one of the worst in the league rushing the ball. I don't care how many times they run it. Don't run it for losses. Don't run it for 1-yard gains. Don't do all these things that create 3rd and long situations. It's really, I like a lot of the things Bobby Sloak is doing, but right now, as somebody that can just at least get you 3 yards at a click consistently, I don't care what the average yards per carry is. You need to, at the very least, get 3 yards on run play. You're awful at it.
Yeah.
You got to, whatever Bobby Sloak is doing in the passing game, I don't care. I don't care what the run-pass ratio is. Stop being so atrocious and horrendous on these running plays because they're killing your passing plays. Pay a little attention to it. And for God's sake, move Titus Howard away from left guard. I am so tired. Or at the very least, I watched Titus Howard pull. And multiple times now in multiple games, He pulls and he stands there as if he's lost in a shopping mall. You ever look at a shopping mall sign and try to figure out where you are, especially if there's no little star that says where you are? That's Titus Howard. He's standing in front of a shopping mall, the sign, and it's horrendous. A map. What do you call those things?
Am I here? No, am I here?
Meanwhile, if Sears is there, do I face right?
Meanwhile,
to get to the deep, yeah.
Meanwhile, Brian Burns is in the backfield, chewing on C.J. Stroud's dismembered leg. Nom, 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 nom. Oh yeah, that's the guy I was supposed to block right there.
I can't watch Titus Howard at guard anymore.
No, that's got to stop. He's got to move back to right tackle. And I know they're thinner on the interior of the offensive line now that Jared Patterson goes out. Hopefully Juice Scruggs comes back. I'm with you, man. Titus Howard needs to go back to right guard. Man, there's a lot to dig into. This was I love DeMeco Ryans. Let me preface what I'm about to say by saying that I think he's the coach of this. I think he's he's the future of this team as the head coach. I think he's going to be a really good head coach. This was not a great ringing endorsement for coming off a bye week for the first time as the head coach. Nothing looked fixed on offense. In fact, it looked the opposite. It looked like you went backwards offensively, and your team came in and committed 10 penalties. And these were high-impact penalties. These were delay of games on the final drive that took you out of field goal range. These were defensive holdings on sacks that would have gotten you off the field in the second quarter when you could still take control of this game. These were holds on Tank Dell punt returns that brought you from being near midfield all the way back to your own 15-yard line, something like that. It was not a great day for DeMeco Ryans either yesterday, just purely from how the energy the team came out with and how prepared they looked for this game, or unprepared they may have looked for this game.
I have a hard time with that delay of game one just because it seems like the first time in history that they actually called it by the rule book. Usually their explanation is, well, we let the play be snapped 3 seconds after the play clock expired because the back judge has to consult with the Pentagon and then get a sealed letter and open it up and read it with bifocals before he actually calls a delay game. This one is like, oh, you're 0.25 seconds after it hits 0. Delay of game.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It was right on the fringe. You can't let it get to that. You know, you get like CJ.
Right,
CJ was slow getting out of the huddle all day. I felt there were so many times watching the game. I'm like, all right, guy. Like he's looking at his wristband and there's 14 seconds on the play clock. That was a consistent theme yesterday.
Dude, I'm going to tell you right now, it's the same as in week 1. Bobby Slowick had a little bit of time on his hands, and he tried to get too damn smart. It's what happens with new offensive coordinators all the time. They come up with all these innovative ways to be super creative and clever, and it ends up gunking up the process. And like it'll be different. We're gonna hear something about them simplifying this week, about getting back to basics, whatever it might be. But it was just that's what it looked like. It looked like a disjointed mess of people trying way too hard to do stuff other than just normal football stuff.